Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I wanted to do another Q&A video, and yeah, I mean, it's Wednesday, so I wanted to get back on track with this. If you do want to take part in my other Q&As, definitely go follow the Discord. The server name is Appetite for the Dead. The link should be in the description of this video. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, definitely go do so. Episode 7 will be premiering on Monday. So episode 6 did just come out on Monday, like 2 days ago. So I guess that is the most recent release. But yeah, if you're interested in the podcast that I have, definitely make sure to go subscribe on YouTube. But first question here, Q&A. Any plans on full length, I guess reactions is probably what you meant, for The Ones Who Live or Daryl Dixon. And the reason why I'm assuming you meant reactions, or yeah, you wouldn't mean reviews, because obviously I do post reviews, but reactions is because I know I've been getting some requests for that recently. You know, I think for me, it's I'm not necessarily a reactor. You know, I think I could do some of that. You know, sometimes on Twitch I'll do that a little bit here and there, but yeah, it's one of those things that I guess I could technically do, but I would probably just put it like maybe on my Patreon or something like that. I wouldn't put it on the channel here because I don't know, to me it's a little separate from that. I don't think I would want to sort of have those reactions and whatnot on here. I don't know, unless there's a way for me to do it somehow, but I don't really have any plans in terms of doing full-length reactions for those shows. I don't even know if I would do full-length reactions. I mean, maybe I would do something like that on a Patreon or whatever, but if I was ever to do any sort of reaction here, like here on the channel, it would just be edited to like the best moments kind of thing, right? Q&A, do you think Rick and Michonne will get the big reunion scene with everyone? That's the big question, right? I hope so. I do hope so. Do I think it's going to be in the first season here of the show? No. I do think Rick and Michonne will get a season 2. I'm pretty confident in that, just because there's too much stuff that they have to do. Like, it'd be so insane if they just literally ignored just the reunion with every other character. I think it's too much to just sort of ignore all of that. We want to have Rick and Daryl together again. We want to see all of that. You know, we want to see like Michonne and Carol together again, right? There's a lot of stuff that's just sort of there. Michonne and Maggie as well, because there was some issues there before Michonne left and Maggie didn't come back. There was kind of a little bit of a feud there, and we want to see some of that stuff kind of go away and everyone sort of, you know, somewhat become friends again. So there is some stuff that I do want to see sort of play out, and I think if this show only had 6 episodes, I mean, again, I don't think there's going to be a big reunion scene at all. I really don't see it happening. Eventually, though, for sure, if this show gets a 3rd season or something like that, then I can see it. Like, I think any sort of reunion at all is going to happen after the Daryl show and Dead City are over. Q&A, if you can make 3 Fear the Walking Dead spinoffs with 2 of them with 2 characters and 1 with 1 character, just like what happened after the main Walking Dead show ended, what characters would you make spinoffs about? Oh, okay, I see what you mean exactly. So basically, if you were to do spinoffs on Fear the Walking Dead, just like The Walking Dead did, I mean, obviously Madison and Strand, I feel like is definitely one you would do. Besides that, Morgan and Dwight, I guess you would do. And then as for a 3rd one, I guess just Alicia or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. You can't necessarily do spinoffs on those characters. I mean, I'm sort of against it. I think just have those characters on these spinoffs now. I don't necessarily want a Madison and Strand spinoff. I don't really want a Morgan and Dwight spinoff. I just want those characters to come onto these spinoffs now, like onto like Dead City or Daryl Dixon or The Ones Who Live. Like, just bring those characters there now. You know how exciting that would be if at the end of season 2, literally the season 2 finale, we see Dwight show up in like a post-credit scene. There's so much you're able to do there. Just go down that route. Do all of that. Q&A, I was thinking today while I was running, what if, and it's a massive what if, but what if Michonne fails to save/rescue Rick and he stays there? We get a season 2 eventually, and from Dead City, Negan with his future army goes and finds Rick and Michonne and help them. Like I said, massive what if, and most likely will never happen, but I would like to see that play out, to be fair. I mean, that would be kind of cool to actually see happen. Like, there is also a part of me that kind of believes that too. Like, we're all believing that Michonne is just going to succeed in saving Rick. Like, what if she doesn't? I mean, like, maybe she does actually reunite with him. Maybe all that stuff happens, but what if at the end they're separated again, kind of thing, right? But not in the sense of like they think that like each other's dead kind of thing. I just more mean like Michonne is forced to leave and Rick is sort of captured there because of something that Major General Beale does, right? I think the reunion makes a lot of sense. I think for those 2 characters, Rick and Michonne, to reunite, that I think it's a little bit easier. But to save Rick entirely, to take him from this place, is where it gets a little tricky, because, you know, they could literally threaten Rick with like, We know where you're from. We know you're from Alexandria. We can wipe out that entire place, the Commonwealth, etc., this and that. It's a little scary, you know, like it's very, very scary for them to sort of deal with, which is why I think there's going to be a lot more than one season, because I think that Rick and Michonne need to deal with the CRM specifically in order to actually, in the end, really be safe, right? So, in terms of your question, you know, maybe like if Michonne fails, maybe Negan with his, you know, his future army, I guess, in New York City. The thing is, like, I think it's a cool idea. I don't see it realistically ever happening because I just don't see Dead City really going down that route where they have to go specifically to the CRM or Civic Republic to go and save Rick. Like, I think that's kind of a big story for that show. Q&A, I really enjoyed your best Rick Grimes moments videos and hearing you go in depth as to what makes Rick Grimes so special to you. Would you ever consider doing a series of videos like that for the other main characters like Daryl, Carol, Michonne, Negan, Maggie, etc.? Yes, I would totally, like that's kind of my plan. I was thinking of doing Daryl Dixon next just because obviously the show's coming out right away, and from there I'll probably go into like Michonne and then Carol, and then we'll kind of see from there. Or maybe I just kind of go in order of the characters sort of appearing on screen in that sense. I have no idea, but that was sort of my idea. I wanted to do this video here just to see how people sort of received it, and it seems like people really enjoyed it. So yeah, definitely expect a Daryl Dixon video. That's probably gonna be my next video coming out soon. Q&A, what do you think The Walking Dead would have been like if Rick would not have been in a coma during the beginning of the outbreak? That's so hard to say because I don't think he would have been separated by his family, and I mean, that's the thing too, is like, I think overall, that's probably all it would have been. You know, I think if Rick wasn't put in that coma, there's a good chance that Shane is probably still alive. I mean, or maybe he just survives a little bit longer anyways. Like, I don't think Shane would have went all crazy over Lori. I really think it would have just been like, you know, he's there, Rick is there with his family, and that's basically it. I think that would have been just sort of the end of it there. Q&A, 2 questions, but I'll just leave this on here. Why do you think Gabriel and Negan never made a reference to the CRM? That part frustrates me. That frustrates me so much. That is something that I can't even believe they introduced and then never brought up again. It's honestly insane. And I still don't understand why. In 10 years down the road, I hope we sort of have a general understanding as to like why they never mentioned certain things. It's so hard to say right now. Like right now, it's one of those things where I'm like, I really feel like they just kind of forgot. Or if they didn't forget, they're just like, well, we're not going to go back and fix that now. Like there's just something with the CRM that was just very weird with the Walking Dead original show. Like they would never ever address certain things with it, and I still don't necessarily understand why. Like there's so much stuff there that they should have mentioned. Like they should have talked about that helicopter and like where Jadis went. Like there was so much stuff there. And your next question, Q&A, you mentioned a couple of times that The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live could come out a few years apart, but let's just say if we get a season 3 and that's not to come out until 2028, would that be too long of a time gap for them to bring everyone back together 10 years after Rick's departure from the show? If not, at what point is too long for us fans to have to wait for everyone to reunite? Well, I feel like 2035 is too long for sure. I think the max would be like 2030, because that's 7 years down the road. You know, the shows could do a lot of stuff for a while. I don't know. I see it happening before then, though. I think 2028 is sort of a good sort of guess. Like that's 5 years from now. You can let the Daryl show and Dead City obviously just sort of play out, and then maybe during that 5-year window, you can have like 2 or 3 seasons of The Ones Who Live. And I could see it just, honestly, it makes a lot of sense. I think it would play out like that. You can have everyone reunite. You can have everything play out like that. You can have all the other characters from Fear the Walking Dead somehow be a part of this, and then just have one giant epic story in 2028. Maybe it is The Ones Who Live, and it's season 3 for that show, right? Q&A, do you think the time for Rick to be the one who killed Negan has passed? If so, who do you think kills him, even if he dies at all? And this is a really interesting question. I kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit here too, is like, is the feud between Rick and Negan over now? And obviously a lot of people, and I think the general assumption is like, well, yeah, it is over. Like, I think if Rick were to come back and he saw that Negan was out of his cell, I think people would just explain to him, no, he's done a lot of good, he's done a lot of this, and Rick would just be like, all right, cool. But I was thinking about it, like, could Rick do that? Like, is that something that Rick could actually do? Because the thing is, Negan is doing some stuff that's sort of a little, you know, on Dead City. Like, he's kind of becoming that villain again. He's kind of becoming that character. Even though he doesn't want to, there is that side to him. And I was thinking about it. Like, I don't know if Rick would ever really be friends with Negan, ever. I don't think there's a way where it can happen. And I do wonder if there is still some sort of anger there. Again, I don't think Rick is going to want to kill Negan, because obviously that's not what he did at the end of season 8 and throughout season 9, or at least the first 5 episodes. So I really see it being Rick will see him out and just be like, no, you know what? I want you back in that cell. Because it depends. Like, there could be a lot of things that get brought up in terms of Carl's death, right? There's a lot of stuff that Rick could be feeling there. There's definitely a lot more story there to tell, for sure. Like, Rick and Negan's story, that feud is not over yet. I really don't think it's over. It's not going to be just as simple as, well, they're friends now. Like, yeah, we see Maggie and Negan together, and, you know, obviously they hate each other so much. No, I don't think it's that simple. I really don't think it's that simple. I think that if Rick and Negan were to ever meet again, there would be a lot more tension and probably fighting than we think. But in terms of your question, do you think that time, you know, the time for Rick to be the one to kill him has passed? It depends on where the story goes. Like, right now, I would say maybe a little bit. But again, it depends on where Dead City goes. Maybe Negan becomes this really crazy villain. And then I would say, no, I could totally see Rick being the one to kill him if that's the case. And that's the thing too, like, if he's not the one to do it, I could totally see Herschel doing it. Or maybe Maggie. I don't know. Q&A, do you think Fear the Walking Dead would have been better or more entertaining if Troy stayed on the show from season 3 all the way to season 8, because Dave Erickson was originally going to keep him around when he was still the showrunner? I do think that he would have been around a lot longer. I don't know if he would have been here until season 8, though. He probably would have died years ago, but I do think for sure he would have still been around a lot longer, and I think the show would have been better. I think the show would have been better if Dave Erickson just stayed on the show entirely. He was such a great showrunner for the show. Season 3 was the best season, and it's kind of insane because season 1 honestly has some really good moments, very iconic moments, I would say, in terms of just the zombie apocalypse starting and all of that. But somehow, you know, season 2 took a little bit of a dip there, but season 3 got so good and it was the best season. And then just somehow season 4 came out and it was the worst season, right? Well, I don't even know if I would say it's the worst season now. I think 5 got worse. And then 7, no, I would say 5 is still definitely the worst season. Like, yeah, I definitely miss Dave Erickson and just like his, you know, his storytelling and all of that on Fear the Walking Dead for sure. But I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.